If you've been following our work through hospitality, or you're someone who's been quietly craving a steadier, more intentional way to live, this is for you. I want to take a moment to slow things down and explain what we've actually been doing for the last 6 years, because from the outside, it might look like a lot of different things. Hospitality, farming, building, changing how we eat, changing how we work, changing how we live. But from the inside, it's always been one experiment, and it's shaped everything Klarhet is becoming now. 6 years ago, we didn't have a master plan. What we had was a simple, honest question. What happens when you stop trying to force life to work and instead start designing for the conditions that allow it to stabilize, soften, and open naturally? We didn't call it this at the time, but what we stepped into was a long process of redesigning our lives as an ecosystem instead of a checklist. Not in theory, in practice, with real stakes. Hospitality was the first place we really began to understand this. At the beginning, it was a business, but very quickly it became something else. We welcomed hundreds of people who arrived tired, guarded, and still carrying the pace of their lives. And we learned something quietly but clearly. People don't need more options. They need environments that help them land. We saw how lighting, pacing, arrival moments, sensory details, and intentional structure could shift someone's state, sometimes within minutes. That's where the Host with Heart lens was born. Not as a strategy, as an observation. When people feel safe, they open. When they open, meaning and connection follow. At the same time, we were learning something equally important through regenerative farming. What we saw again and again was that living systems don't thrive when they're managed through constant reaction. They thrive when they're supported by stable conditions, rhythm, nourishment, protection, and space to regenerate. When animals live within systems that mirror their natural patterns, behavior shifts, health improves, the land begins to restore itself. Living systems respond to support, not force. That experience made something very clear to us. Outcomes aren't forced. They're shaped by environment over time. And once we saw that in the land, we couldn't unsee it in ourselves. Like many people, we were living inside chronic fight or flight without calling it that. Constant reaction, high stress, always bracing for the next thing. Through necessity, not ideology, we started designing structure into our days. Rhythm, boundaries, simple systems that reduced decision fatigue. What surprised us most was this. Structure didn't make life smaller, it made it safer. And safety created space. The same pattern showed up in how we related to our bodies. We changed what we eat to be resourced, moving from depletion and convenience toward nourishment and steadiness didn't make life harder, it gave us capacity, more clarity, more patience, more resilience. One of the most unexpected places this shift showed up was in my body itself. For years, my system lived under intense stress, and my health reflected that. As we began designing for steadiness instead of survival, something changed. Not through force, not through control, but through support. The pregnancy and birth of our son became a living marker of that change. Not because it was perfect, but because it was radically different from what came before. It showed us that when the body feels safe and resourced, life responds. The deepest proof of this experiment today lives in our marriage and our family. There was a time when Kirk and I were fractured, on the brink, maxed out on stress, and disassociation was our only coping mechanism. What changed wasn't a single tool or technique. What changed was the ecosystem around us. As we built stability into our lives, our nervous systems softened. And as our nervous system softened, we became safer for each other. As safety returned, connection followed. How we parent changed, how we relate changed, how we love changed. It was night and day. Early on, we stepped out of conventional careers, web development and nurse practitioner work, not because we had it all figured out, but because we were asking a deeper question. Can we interrupt generational patterns by redesigning the systems we live inside? We chose uncertainty as a teacher. It wasn't clean or easy. There were many sleepless nights, stress, mistakes, and moments of real doubt. But over time, something else emerged. Clarity. And all of this shaped what Klarhet is becoming now. What might look like a pivot is actually a reveal. Two paths emerged naturally from this same experiment. Host with heart, designing intentional experiences for others using hospitality as a vessel for meaning, connection, and freedom. And design with heart, sharing how we've learned to design life itself with stability, rhythm, and intention, so creativity, joy, and clarity can emerge naturally. Same lens, two expressions. We're finally naming this because it's time. Not because we've arrived, but because we've lived it long enough to share it responsibly. Everything moving forward, this channel, these offerings, these stories, will come back to this core question. What happens when we design environments, homes, experiences, days, relationships that support the human nervous system first? That's what we're here to explore. And if you've been sensing this quietly in your own life, you're in the right place. If you want to stay close to this work as it unfolds, you can join our list below. No pressure, just an invitation. We're thrilled you're here.